Right, when you enter the darkroom, always knock before, even if the red light is on or off. It's good practice and it's professional. If you don't hear anything back and you know you are the first person in this, go for it. When you enter the darkroom, there'll be a cord, pull the cord and that'll turn on the main light. When you close the door, make sure you take the catch off in case of emergency so people can enter if you're struggling, as in there's an emergency. And also, no headphones in the darkroom, and there is radio music allowed, but keep it low just in case for fire alarms, etc. And the extractor fan, which is already on, make sure you've got that because we are using chemicals and it's best to have some air circulating. How to develop a film. For this video I'm going to use an Ilford HP5 Plus 400. These are what we sell in the print room, £6 for 36 exposures. You can buy different film and different size film from external source. Please talk to me about that and what different qualities films have. When we come in and developing a film, prep is the most important thing. First of all, we need a dev tank. The dev tanks are in different sizes on this shelf. This dev tank is a normal size and it will develop up to 2 35mm films, where this one will develop up to 3 35mm films and the larger one 4. But let's just do 1 for now. On the dev tank, what we're looking for first is this information. Okay, so it says 290mm for each 35mm, so that means it takes 290ml of volume of liquid to cover one 35mm film, and we need to remember that. I'm going to, instead of 290, I'm going to make it 300ml, so in case we lose any of the chemical. So if you write that down, 300ml for one 35mm film for this particular dev tank. With the dev tank, when you open it up, you've got the lid and inside. You will need a tank pole here. You need to make sure you get the right size and shape. This one is too large for this particular dev tank. This one is the most common used. The dev pole fits into the dev tank like so. The next thing is a reel. This reel is what your negative will go on, and each little fin will allow the developer and the fixer and the stop back to evenly circulate and develop and fix the film. This reel fits onto the dev tank like so. Very important, you push it all the way down and into the dev tank like this. If the reel isn't pushed all the way down after you've put the negative onto the reel, the 300ml that we talked about earlier will sit around here. This means your film is only getting half developed. That is why it's so important you push it to the bottom. And then lid goes on and screw, and that is a light tight container. The next step is we need to dilute your film developer. The reason I say film developer and making a statement about this is because we have paper developer over here and film developer. So paper developer will develop your paper when printing the photograph. Film developer will develop your film. Alright, so there's 3 major chemicals: developer, stop and fix. Stop and fix are the same chemicals when coming to paper printing and developing a film. The only difference is the developer, which you'll find over here. So stop and fix. These are already diluted for you. All you have to do is pour in the volume that you need. So for instance, 300 ml. Ideally, use the correct jugs with the correct chemical, just in case any confusion. If for some reason you use different jugs and forget which one's which, there is always telltale signs. The fixer, if you take a smell of the fixer, it'll smell a little bit like vinegar. If it smells eggy, it's off, or if it's dark, it's off. I will upload a photograph so you can see the difference of the off fixer. Okay. And your stop is odorless but will be yellow. So the developer we use is Ilford Fossil Free. If you read carefully, you'll see a dilution, 1 in 9 or 1 in 14. This can be quite confusing. So a little cheat is a website called Digital Truth, and we're looking for massive dev chart. The next section of the video is going to be showing you how to find out the dilution rates and what you need for what film. For the next stage, I'm going to use a website called Digital Truth. When we click on the Digital Truth website, we want to go on the top left-hand corner and the massive dev chart. This website is really helpful and something you definitely need to use. First of all, I want to find out the dilution ratio for my film, which is the Ilford HP 5 Plus. So I will select the film, Ilford HP 5 Plus. And then I'm going to select the developer. The developer we're using is Ilford Fossil Free. If we put Ilford into the search bar, it doesn't come up, but a Fossil Free does. We will always use the Fossil Free developer unless I state that the change. Okay, when we press search, this table comes up. It's important that you keep hold of your film cartridge to check numbers. So as you can see, the film is all the same and the developer is all the same. The dilution is mixed, and then we come up to something called the SA or the ISO. This is in relation to your film. We're using Ilford HP 5 plus 400, so it means that our ISO is 400. As you can see, we have three 400s to select from. I'm going to use the top one. The only difference is the dilution ratio. So the top one has 1 in 9, and for a 35mm film, 6.5. So that means 6.5 minutes and a 1 in 9 ratio. It's important you write these down. So the next thing I'm going to do is go onto the volume mixer, which is in the left-hand side. This will help you mix your volumes and deal with your ratios. So 1 in 9 was our ratio, and our final volume, this is in regards to your developing tank. So as I said earlier, for 135mm film in that particular dev tank was 290mm, and then I said make it to 300. So our final volume for 135mm film is 300. And you calculate, and the total is 30mm and 270ml water. So the 30ml is of developer and 270ml water. And it's important that you write this down. If we go back to the chart, there's one thing that I've forgotten, is the temperature. This is important. So 1 in 9 is 20 degrees. You need to note this down too. You can go 1 degree below or 1 degree above. This is the temperature of your chemicals. So the next step is to measure our developer. Okay, so I'm going to do 30ml developer and 270ml water. Remember that the end liquid, the result of liquid, needs to be 20 degrees. So we'll need to use a thermometer. If the developer is warmer, it's going to develop faster. Therefore, it can overdevelop your film. You don't want that. When you're measuring the temperature of your chemical, it needs to be 20 degrees for the Ilford HB5 plus. This is 3 degrees over. I always go one below or one above, so we need to knock this down for 2 degrees. So what I'll do is sit this in cold water. So run the cold tap, and if there's a tray underneath the tap, and we'll just let that sit for a while. It might take about 5 to 10 minutes, but in the meantime, you can prep your fixer and your stop back. So we're going to prep the stop and fix. So we need 300ml of each stop and fix. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the stop and fix are both for paper and film, and they're already pre-mixed. So it's simply finding how much volume you need, 135ml film, 300ml, and pouring it and checking the temperature. I'm going to show you a little trick with the fixer to test if the fixer is still in good working order. I did mention there was an odor test. If it smells of rotten eggs, it's usually off. There is another test you can do. If you get a slight end of a film that hasn't been developed and has still got the emulsion on, cut a slight bit, and using the tongs, hold it in the fixer. It'll take about 30 seconds. What should happen if the fixer is okay, the little bit of negative should be clear and it should have washed the emulsion off. It might take about a minute. Be patient. If it doesn't do anything, you know the fixer is off, and come and tell me. As you can see, our fixer is great. The next step, I will be showing you how to put your negative onto the reel. Please note I'm doing this in the daylight so you can see what I'm doing. You do this in complete darkness. No red light, no light, which makes it harder. So I always think, test it first with a little bit of dud film to get your confidence. Okay, so first of all, you need your prep. So I've got my dev tank, my lid, my dev pole, and 2 reels. I've got a pair of scissors and the film opener. Right, what I'm going to do first is, remember the light is on, but at this point when I've set out all my equipment and I know where it is, I'll turn off the light. And in darkness, what I'm going to do is get the film canister opener and, like a bottle of beer, pop the top off. When you pop the top off, this will come out. This would originally have your negative, your undeveloped negative, around, like so. Again, this is just to show a demonstration. It'll be something like this. Again, please do this in the dark. The next step When your film comes out, it will have an extra tongue on the end. What we need to do is cut that tongue off. It just helps guide the negative into the reel easily. Again, we're in the dark, so you have to do this carefully. Get your 2 fingers and put them like so. This will guide your scissors. When you think you have the film in between the scissors and not your finger, slowly and gently cut, because if your finger is there, this will avoid injury. You can use this little bit of extra film to do the fixer test if you haven't done it already. Right, next step. When I've got preparing my reels, I have to have the 2 ball bearings and the 2 little tongues exactly in line. And I set this up so I don't faff about when I'm in the dark. It's one less worry. The reason I've done 2 reels is just in case one of them is broken or it's just not working, I like to have the other one to go to. So, when the 2 ball bearings or the 2 little tongues are side by side, note the bigger tongues. There is some more little tongues here, but we're wanting the ones with the ball bearings. I will then grab my film and gently insert it and push it past the ball bearings. When it's pushed past the ball bearings, I will then guide my film by turning the reel with one hand and holding it still on the other one. Do this above the table so your film and your reel doesn't drop to the floor. When your negative is on the reel, again, please note we're doing this in the dark. Now you then push your reel all the way bottom to your dev pole, then put your dev pole into your dev tank. There is a tubing point on the bottom of your dev tank lid which will meet and go inside the dev pole like so, and turn. Now your dev tank and your film is safe, it's light tight. This lid, extra lid, is for when we put the liquid in. This still means without the lid it's light tight. If you ever get into a struggle and you cannot get your film onto the reel, the best thing I suggest to do is get the film itself. So, to get the film itself, it will be a lot longer than this, of course. Put your dev pole and gently, without trying to scratch it, put it inside the pole and put your lid on and close it and come and see me. This means you can turn the light on, you can get yourself together, you can prep again and try it again. Right. The next thing is to get the times correct for each chemical. So there's some little stopwatches at the back of the room. And as we know from our massive dev chart that we found out earlier, is for this particular film, the Ilford HP5 Plus, we're using, it's a fossil-free developer and it's going in 6.5 minutes. So I'm going to set this to 6.5, so 6.5 minutes. And then with your stop bath and your fix, if you look at this table above, we've got film developing and paper printing times. What we're doing now is developing a film. So depends on film. Use Digital Truth website. We've done that. It's 6.5 minutes. But for your stop and your fixer, whatever film you're using, it'll always be 1 minute and 4 minutes. And this is exactly the same for paper printing. So stop bath, what the stop bath does is cleans the developer, it cleans the film, ready for the fix, and the fix fixes the film, so therefore it isn't sensitive to light anymore. It fixes the emulsion. So we go 4 minutes for fixer and 1 minute for stop. Now we're ready to develop the film. So we start pouring in the developer. As I'm pouring in the developer, I will press start. I'll put on the lid so it makes it tight for the liquid. And what I'm going to start doing is agitating it. So when the developer goes into the dev tank, I'm going to agitate it for 10 seconds. Gently agitate by doing this movement. What this is doing is making sure that all the developer is going through all the different the things of the reel and getting to all of the film to develop evenly. Once you've done this for 10 seconds, give it a small tap. Don't do it too hard because you can crack the developing tank. Then what I do is keep a nice pattern with agitation. So for the last 10 seconds for every minute, I will agitate for 10 seconds. So we're at 5 minutes 27 now. When this gets to 5 minutes 10, I'm going to agitate for 10 seconds, tap and leave. You can also agitate by doing this rhythm, but whatever you do, just keep it the same. So 10 seconds and then tap. I prefer agitating it like this so I know that the liquid is going up and down. When the timer stops at 6.5 minutes, can I just repeat that you have to do the agitation every minute, so 10 seconds for every minute. So when you've finished, the beeper will go, you take off the lid, and what we'll do is put the chemical back into the jug, and then we're ready for the stop bath. So stop bath goes in, press start, 1 minute, and again what I do here is agitate for the first 10 seconds and then the last 10 seconds. Tapping gets any air bubbles away from the negative. You don't want air bubbles when you're developing your film because the air bubbles will see it on the negative basically. With stop bath, if you run over and it was 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it's fine. Stop bath cleans all the chemicals away, so you can go over a minute or two. I would suggest that everything you do, you keep to the times and keep quite tight with that though. So after the end minute, 10 seconds, and then again pour your stop bath back into the jug for now. Then we add our fixative, our fix, and that is for 4 minutes. Again, press 4 minutes, agitate for the first 10 seconds, air bubble, release, and then wait to the end of the minute and agitate again for 10 seconds for each minute. When the 4 minutes is over, we pour this back in. So the fix is in, and then what we do is go to the tap with the hose pipe. Make sure the tap is on the right hand side, the cold tap. You don't want hot tap. If it's too hot, it will ruin your film, it'll take the emulsion out. I insert the hose pipe into the hole of the developing tank and then press the water on until the dev tank fills with the water and it spills out the sides. I leave this running for a minute and then I turn it off. Some people like to leave it on for longer, running water. The reason I just do it for a minute is to try and not waste water. After I've left my film sit in the water for about 5 to 10 minutes, I empty the water out. And then I get a wetting agent and put a tiniest drop of wetting agent. We don't have to be too precise with the wetting agent. Don't fill it, just a tiniest measure. But if you want to be precise, we can measure it, and I would put about a quarter of, I don't know, say under 10 mil, so 5 mil. And then put this into your dev tank and then fill it with water. Wetting agent stops your film from drying with watermarks on, and it also again helps clean the film. So when it fills, it goes like soapy. You can always use a little bit of washing up liquid instead of wetting agent too. It just gets all the grease and everything off. What I like to do is put the lid on, and then I give it quite a vigorous shake. And then open the top, pour it out, and then again rinsing for about 5 minutes until all the bubbles go. When the water's running clear, empty the water out and take out your dev pull with the reel, take off the reel, and to get the negative from the reel, what you do is turn the reel, one side of it clockwise until it clicks, and that will allow you to pull the reel off and get your negative. When we're hanging up the negative, do not touch the center of your film, because that will allow finger marks and grease. We roll the negative out and we get a peg and put it on the washing line, like so. These are more professional pegs with little pins in, but either work. And put one peg on the bottom, and what this does, it will help your film dry straight. There's another thing that I like to do is use tongs and holding the negative from the top. I get the tongs and I slide it down the negative, and this will help dry the negative and keep it from leaving straight.